I can't help but think that if Corey was prepared enough and brought Ovaltine, he could have outrun whatever it was and save Ellie. That's his loss. I don't know why you would not bring Ovaltine on a camping trip. To have that kind of vitamin and minerals with you at all times seems like it's a survivalist instinct to have, right, Josh? Like, you need that sustenance.
I was going to say he did bring it, but he just forgot it right next to his gun.
Maybe he did forget it right next to the gun. Perhaps if he was smart enough, he would have poured a glass of milk. He would have dumped Ovaltine in it. He would have mixed it. He would have chugged that. He would have grabbed his gun, and he would have absolutely demolished whatever it was in his way and saved Ellie. And this whole thing would have been a great cryptic killing story. He would have rivaled Josh in his cryptic killing abilities. However,
let's slow down. I don't know about that. Maybe he got a little too cozy with some of these birds.
Only explanation I have in where a Fiat Uno could keep up with a Mercedes S280, okay?
It's not that I wouldn't fight Mothman. I would beat the shit out of him.
We're seasoned.
So wait, you mean to tell me they have a festival commemorating the day a man got his shit rocked by an extraterrestrial carrot?
My neighbors across the street, they are not real.
But a pyramid is the most boring shape.
Part Sasquatch, part trickster midget. What's going on, guys? Thank you for joining us in the Conspiracy Kitchen, where we uncover the secret ingredients behind life's daily mysteries. I'm your head chef, Joe, and I'm accompanied by my sous chef, the cryptic killer, Josh.
Huh? Hi.
And what about Cracker Barrel, what they just announced? Just probably about an hour or two ago.
It's going back to what its former glory, what it meant to be.
Yes, they brought the old timer back, the barrel is back, the old font's back. It's all back. It's back to where it was. It only lasted about a week. That's all it took.
And I think we could say, you guys, you're welcome.
We deserve it. Yeah, thanks for that, because I think we were the main reason they did go back.
Yeah, we're doing God's work and keeping Cracker Barrel the same. Which, if this whole thing proves anything, it's that bullying does work.
It does work.
So.
Yeah, we forced their hand. They knew the weight of our podcast and stating the fact that we didn't like it and we bashed them for about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. They knew they couldn't come back from that kind of a reputation destruction of reputation. So they came to us and they said, we're gonna flip back and just let people know on your podcast, let people know on your social medias that we're switching back. And we did. I posted it on X. I shared their link that they're back and they're good to go.
That's right. We saved the barrel. We did it. Mission accomplished.
All right. Well,
I haven't been to a Cracker Barrel in a few years now.
Well, maybe we have to go back now. So, tonight's episode, we were going to do, like I think we mentioned in the last episode at the end, one of our listeners from down south, Cynthia, sent us a link to a incident, the Greenbrier Incident, in the Smoky Mountains. I guess this is around the area she lives or grew up in. And she just wanted our opinion. And I think we'll start doing something like this every once in a while. Like if someone, a listener or something, wants to hear our opinions, if they care, about certain incidents or mysteries, like our Unsolved Mysteries episodes or anything like that, they can comment on Spotify or send us a message on X, Facebook. We're getting a little more busier on Facebook as well. Just give us suggestions if you want, and we can look into them. And we'll do an episode. We'll look at them if we like them. If we can come up with a decent theory or whatever, which we can come up with a theory for everything, right, Josh? We can solve anything.
Yep.
we'll let you know in an episode before that, hey, next episode we're going to be doing this. We'll do the shout out to the person who suggested the episode, and we'll roll it out next and give you our honest opinions on them. So this one would be like I said, mentioned the Greenbrier incident. It took place in the Smoky Mountains, the Great Smoky Mountains. It's the southern part of the Appalachians. Borders, it runs along the border between Tennessee and North Carolina. Now these mountains, if anyone knows about these mountains, they're probably about 300 million years old. Probably, if not the oldest, one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world. They were around when Pangea was a thing, right, Josh?
Yep.
Yeah.
They were old. Yeah, they were formed. It was during Pangea, and then when everything broke apart, they just stayed exactly how they were.
So the incident that she showed us was two hikers. We got 20-year-old Corey Elkins and 19-year-old Ellie Sutton. That back in September 6th, 2014, they went on like a backpacking excursion inside those Great Smoky Mountains National Park. They're both avid hikers. So we did the Outlaw Pass episode. They were all avid hikers as well. So we have more experience, right? These guys are experienced, these two. So they're not just some assholes wandering off in the woods. They know what they're doing, apparently. They left early Friday morning, and they were going to spend the weekend camping, exploring, looking for, I guess, mines or caves, caverns and stuff. They were interested in finding new areas, undiscovered stuff like that. So, they were, I think they're a boyfriend and girlfriend. It does mention sometimes that they were your friend, but I think they're a couple, right?
It seems like you don't just wander into Appalachia with someone that isn't your partner.
Yeah. So they went off looking for caves and stuff because they were captivated because apparently they found a moonshine still, an abandoned moonshine still, right? From, I guess, the Prohibition years. So later on that they go through Friday. They camp off grid, off a trail in a non-designated area. They set up camp for the night, go to sleep. The next morning, however, Saturday morning, that's when the Sevier County 911 dispatch receives a call from a frantic Corey. And this is where the story starts, I guess. So I had a transcript here. I have the transcript for the 911 call. I wanted to try to get audio. We could not get audio. No audio found. I was going to maybe do an AI audio thing so we didn't have to read it. But it didn't go over well. So I guess we're just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way and read the transcript out, right? Yeah. Might as well read the transcript. So the incident number is 106214009. This transcript was September 6th, 2014, 8:53 a.m. Dispatcher answers, obviously, this call is being recorded. Corey then says, I need help, my girlfriend's been attacked. Dispatcher asks for a location, and Corey is not sure. He's followed the Porters Creek Manway yesterday when they were hiking looking for caves before getting into some off-trail exploring. So they don't want to stick on the trails. They're more experienced. They go off-trail. They want to find some new stuff. You're not going to find anything new sticking to the trails. They camped in a small clearing. It was on the map, so he said he doubt it was a designated campsite or anything. He goes, this is a total clusterfuck. I don't know how you guys are gonna, and he gets cut off. The dispatcher goes, okay, and you said your girlfriend was attacked. Is that correct? Corey replies with, I think it was a bear. I was inside our tent getting my gear in order when I heard her scream. I only caught a glimpse of it. It took her into the woods. The dispatcher then wants him to clarify, is it actually a bear? We get an inaudible response, and then he goes, don't know, pretty sure it pulled her off into the woods. I couldn't get to her. I tried, but I just couldn't get to her in time. Please, I need help. The dispatcher wants to know, or tells him, we have people responding. Just try to remain calm. Can I get your name? He then replies, my name is Corey Elkins, and my girlfriend is Ellie Sutton. The dispatcher replies with, okay, Corey, we have people on the way. but I need to get a better idea of your exact location. And I looked into this too, because I was like, well, doesn't 911 get your instant location? And doing some research on this, in 2014, it did not always, especially in rural areas, get your location. Right now, in the US, if you dial 911, your phone will give you a notification within seconds of calling that emergency services has pinned your location. It didn't do this back then. I wanted to double check that to see if there's anything with that, but it doesn't do it in 2014. All the time. Only in small areas, small markets had that. So, he said, need your exact location. Are you able to locate a trail marker, any distinctive landmarks, bodies of water, a river, anything you can help us with? Corey replies with, no ma'am, just trees and real thick bush. We weren't far from the or AT, I'm not sure what that means. But once I started running, I kind of lost my bearings. I crossed a creek a ways back, though, maybe one of the laurel branches. I don't know, I'm thinking I could be further east than that. I haven't been up this way before, not this far anyway. This was Ellie's project. She knew the area better than me. Please hurry, I can hear them ahead of me, but she stopped screaming. The dispatcher then says, are you chasing after this animal? Corey then replies, of course I am. I had, inaudible, can't understand. After her, cut out again, inaudible, but can't keep up. There's background noise of footfalls and movement through brush. I couldn't, inaudible. A signal on my phone until now, inaudible. Losing my mind. It feels like I'm going in circles here. The dispatcher replies, all right, Corey, for your safety, I'd like you to try and backtrack to the clearing you told me about. It would be easier for rescuers to locate you there. You can hear sounds of distant screams through the 911 call, and the dispatcher then asks Corey what's happening. Corey doesn't really reply to the dispatcher. He just yells, Ellie, is that you? The dispatcher again repeats herself, tell me what's happening. The caller goes inaudible. You can't make out what he's saying. Then he goes growling at me. I can hear it just up ahead, but the undergrowth is too thick to keep pace. The dispatcher then tells Corey that she strongly advises that do not approach the animal. You won't be doing your friend any good if... And Corey cuts her off and with something, can't understand, inaudible, and then goes, my gun in the tent, I didn't think to... Cuts off, and then comes back, was stupid. I panicked, I just went after her. Dispatcher then replies, that's okay. Is there anything around you can use to defend yourself? A broken tree limb, maybe a rock. Corey replies, yeah, I'm sure there's something I can. And then he goes, wait. The dispatcher then wants to know what's going on, Corey. Tell me what's happening. Corey just replies with whistling. Dispatcher goes, whistling? What do you mean? Corey then, it sounds like someone whistling. I don't think it's Ellie, though I thought. And at this point, the 911 dispatcher recalls hearing the sounds Corey Elkins is describing over the open line. She said it sounds like a hoot of an owl, although it's a higher pitch, as if in response, an agitated whooping call repeats several times, followed by an abrupt crashing sound of something large moving through thick brush. Fear is evident in Corey's voice as he begins shouting, as if to ward off an aggressive animal. Corey, I don't know what's happening here. I'm thinking there's more than one. There's sounds coming from in front, but also to my left. I can hear inaudible or crying, and the dispatcher then can keep talking to me, Corey. What are you hearing? Corey then breaks down in heavy, nervous breathing. So the dispatcher then takes it easy, Corey. Try and remain calm. If the animal does approach, do not run or make any sudden aggressive movements. Corey then goes, oh, no way. No fucking way, man. This isn't happening. No way is this happening right now. The dispatcher goes, Corey, hello? Like, he's not even talking to me anymore. Corey then replies, ma'am, please hurry. Then there's a strange sound in the background, like a rattling raven, like it's screaming, I guess. Oh, God, please hurry. Once again, Corey starts shouting. The dispatcher asks him if it's a bear, and after a while, Corey only replies by saying it's not a bear. Seconds later, the phone sounds to be dropped, and the commotion of a frantic struggle ensues. So during this time, the 911 dispatcher listens in on the sounds of Corey engaged in a brutal fight for his life. There's muffled human grunts and moans and growls of exertion, merged with the screaming roar of an attacking animal. An unidentified female voice in the background, probably Ellie, can be heard and screaming, "Corey, run, just run, don't fight with it, run." There are sounds of thrashing and breaking vegetation and hollow thuds of repeated blows and tearing of fabric. Corey's screams and wails weaken and become less recognizable. Then, as quickly as it began, it was over. It just went silent. After several moments, something retrieves the phone from the ground. There are sounds of sniffing and what could be teeth, maybe, gnawing at the phone before once again being dropped. Shuffling sounds and footsteps give way to an odd chatter of chirps. Another raven-like rattle seems to respond. Something heavy then is dragged off along the ground, and the soft patter of footsteps follow. And I guess that's all the 911 transcript has to offer us here.
Now, I do take, I don't know, it does bug me a little at one point because he's very articulate with what he's saying at the beginning. He's like, yeah, my name is Corey, and this is Ellie, and we were... Yeah. And he's very clear with all the information. And then it just, towards the end, he's like, it's not a bear, it's not like... If you're so articulate, wouldn't you just be like, yeah, it's this is what it is? Like...
He doesn't know what it is.
I don't know.
Perhaps. Because, like, I mean, he goes, no way, no fucking way, man. This ain't happening. No way. This is fucking happening right now. It's almost like he knew, because he's saying it isn't happening right now, right? It's almost like he knew something would be happening at some point, right? This, whatever this is. Isn't that kind of odd? Like, the way he worded it? To you, or you don't get any vibe like that off of it?
See, I don't know. Maybe that's just him panicking in the moment.
Maybe.
But, no, I mean, if he's so articulate with all the other shit, wouldn't he be able to be like, this is what it looks like, and kind of like give somewhat of a description?
Well, I mean, before he's following it, right? So he's pretty far back. He's chasing it. But at this point, remember, now all of a sudden, we have noises all around him. He doesn't know which way they're coming from. And he starts to break down. So then he has the heavy nervous breathing kicks in, right? He stops. He's fucking scared now. Before, it might have been adrenaline. He's tracing the thing. Now he's fucking frightened. He doesn't know where the fuck it's coming from. Right? He doesn't... It's all around him. Now I think you're starting to, panic. You're breaking down, and you're no longer focused on the phone call, because now he's in the heat of the... He's in this fight or flight, right? He's no longer chasing from a distance where he's not being attacked or surrounded. Now he's in the shit. So I can understand why all of a sudden your communication breaks down, because now you're no longer even focused on a 911 call. Would you rather be telling them would you rather describe what this fucking thing looks like, or would you rather try to save your life? You know what I mean?
Well, if it were me, I wouldn't have even called 911 in the first place. I just start swinging, but...
I understand.
That's just me.
Also, I mean, I wouldn't have left my gun in the tent, but that's just me too.
Yeah, this guy is... He was in the tent getting his gear together.
And then left the gun.
A gun is not something you just forget.
Especially if your girlfriend's being attacked.
Yeah, and you're already focused. So here's my thinking. You're already focused on getting your gear together. That's where your mind is at. And then you hear the scream. At some point, that gun is in your peripheral. It has to be.
It has to be.
So you can't split second think, oh, I should probably take this. I'm probably going to need this. You just forget everything and run.
Yeah, because, I mean, the first thing you're thinking of is, I feel, if, my wife's being kidnapped by some kind of animal, is, how am I going to fucking kill it? Oh, I brought a gun, right? Especially if so at the beginning, he has the whereabouts to just rattle off his name, his girlfriend's name. He's not in the shit yet, so he's thinking more clearly. I think you would have brought the gun. But that's just me. I don't know.
He had the clear thinking to call 911. It's pretty
Yes.
focused then.
Yeah. So now they begin the search, right? So they're getting ready. Right, the 911 call's done. Something obviously happened to these people in the woods. We got to get people out there. Um, Analyzing the 911 calls before they send the people out, many wildlife experts have said that this could be the sound of a mountain lion. Uh, they say that mountain lions communicate with bird-like chirps and whistles, which they do. Same thing with like cheetahs, right? Uh, when angered, they can sound like big hissing. They hiss like big cats. They don't roar or anything like lions or tigers. They can't produce that deep roar. They're more like cheetahs, the mountain lions and stuff. Um, but to me, if it's not a bear, he stated it's not a bear. So we know it's not a bear, right? Because he flat out said it's not a bear. I can't see a mountain lion dragging a woman, 19-year-old woman, miles in through the woods through thick brush. And then on arrival, she isn't fucked up and is able to say, "Hey, run, don't fight it." You know what I mean? Like, I can't see a mountain lion doing this.
Mountain lions are not known for dragging off their prey. They tend to take things down right then and there. Same thing with bears. It'd be on the spot. They're not saving you for later.
Yes. So what I like, a bear or a mountain lion, which we know it's not a bear, but a mountain lion or a bear will incapacitate the prey on spot. It could drag it later, like after it's dead. It could drag it later for to feed on it in a more secure area, or if it's bringing it back to cubs. But it won't bring it back alive usually. Um, Although there is some cases, I know lions typically might they kind of bring it back alive to train cubs on how to kill, but the lions are more of a pack, a pride animal. Uh, Mountain lions or cougars, I guess, puma, whatever one it is. They're not. They're more of a solo. Um, so I don't see this thing dragging her alive, especially 2 miles. They're not the biggest of cats. They're not going to have that stamina to drag, say, 150-pound female through the woods with, she might even have gear on, but it's thick. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I don't see this being a mountain lion.
Absolutely not. It. There's no animal in that region that would do that. All those animals are like attack on sight kind of things, like right there.
Yeah, I don't know of any animals that would just drag a human 2 miles.
No, none. None on this continent.
No, and there really isn't many mountain lion in the Smoky Mountains. I don't think they have. I don't think they're known to have a ton of them there. They might have some that pass through, but I don't think they're known to have a sustainable like population of mountain lions in the Smokies. So after trying to figure out what it might be, the park rangers and the state's wildlife agency are the first to get to the area. They set up at the Porters Creek trailhead where Corey's pickup truck was parked, and they go off on the search. They bring canines from the sheriff's department, and they go out into the Smoky Mountains to try to find them. By late afternoon, they have several rescue teams on foot, horseback, and ATVs actively engaged in the search, combing trails, slopes, and ridges into the night. Now, we were going for a long time. It just seems odd that it's taking this long. Early the next morning, they find the campsite, and Yeah, so the squad that followed up on a hiker's report of seeing a pair of unusual animals he thought to be two bear cubs playing with a backpack. Within the small clearing off the trails, they found a collapsed tent. Of course, the tent's collapsed, just like in Dyatlov Pass, right? The tent can never stay standing. It always falls. They don't know how to set them up properly, I guess.
Shoddy workmanship.
They found the backpacks, with all the contents strewed all over the ground, including video equipment, parabolic microphones. So I guess they were going out to do some, I guess, good videoing. If they did find, I guess, the caves or these mines that they were looking for. So then their dog teams rode pick up a scent leading away from the clearing and into the woods, but didn't turn up any new signs of the couple's whereabouts. And by nightfall, they had about 150 trained personnel and volunteers from several organizations involved in trying to find them. They even had helicopters using FLIR thermal imaging to help detect, that's what detect body heat. They're heat sensors. It wasn't until late Monday afternoon. So at this point, I'm like, how is these trained personnel? The guy got from where he was camped to where he died while on a 911 call. So it wasn't extremely long, right? Half hour. It took them like 2 days to come across a location where they feel like Corey Elkins was attacked. They said about 2 miles from the clearing. Now, I feel like if you have some kind of trained personnel, you can track. And if Corey is chasing an animal, he isn't covering his tracks. It should be fairly easy to track him, right? Especially if you're going through thick brush. You should see trails of destroyed vegetation, right, on the grounds. So for them to take 2 days makes no sense to me. But anyway, they get to the clearing. They find a lone hiking boot in an area where thickly wooded and strewn with boulders. Signs of a struggle on the ground, including small droplets and smears of blood. So there wasn't a lot of blood, which, again, listening to a 911 call, I thought there would have been blood all over the fucking place. Right?
Yeah, from the way he was describing it, it sounded like she was being torn to shreds.
Yeah. And then the 911 audio, and the transcript that we wrote, it sounds like he's being torn to shreds. But then we don't have a lot of blood. We just have small droplets and smears.
Just droplets.
I thought there'd be a pool. You know what I mean? So this is when it starts getting a weird, I guess. Kind of weird for them. So the search party then hears knocking sounds. And at first they think, oh, maybe it's one of them, they can't talk, they're injured pretty bad, but they can still, knock or something. So they go off and trying to chase these or follow these knocking sounds. They said it sounded like two rocks getting clacked together or something. But what would happen was every time they continued to get close, the sound sounded like it was coming from a different direction. And one of the Sevier County rescue squad guys, Jeff Carney, was the one who said it. Every time you get close, you would hear it again somewhere else. It would be behind you. It always seemed to keep moving just out of reach. And he said the best way he could describe it is someone clacking two rocks together. He doesn't see how an animal could do that. No animal's going to sit there and clack two rocks together, are they? He thought maybe someone was screwing around with them.
Well,
but
black bears make that noise when they're clacking their teeth together.
Or it could have been a black bear, right? Because apparently black bears, when they're stressed out, they'll snap their teeth together, right?
Mm-hmm. It's and especially in a pretty giant forest, that's going to be a loud echo of like a clacking. So you're going to hear that shit.
Yeah. At this point, they said the helicopter and the FLIR actually acquired a credible hit with the thermals, but they were unable to track it through the dense foliage, which again, I don't understand that. And then it probably wouldn't be who you're looking for, right? Because if you're gonna get a credible hit, the people apparently are pretty well injured. They're not gonna be moving around to get away from that. I don't think. They sent in canine teams again. Um, the dogs then refused to track anything. One of the witnesses recalled the dog trembling and not wanting to. It was like whining, staying back on its hind legs, and looked clearly, quote unquote, spooked. Dog did not want to do it. They didn't understand what would cause a police canine, especially a well-trained tracking dog, which is trained to track over everything. What would cause this dog not to follow a trail? It's trained to follow a trail. Why wouldn't it follow this trail? Would it be afraid of a bear? I thought they wouldn't really care. I thought their duty was, I'm following this trail. I don't really care about what else is going on.
They're specifically trained to handle those situations with larger animals, like bears and stuff. But it trembling and backing up and just staying away from a trail in particular it's definitely odd because they're trained to see past all that and just go for it.
Yeah, that's what I understand why I would want to. So then later on, now they have the National Guard also involved to try to help with this search. Up to 300 people now are in this wooded area. Now, if you find that what you thought was the spot where the attack went down on Corey, I thought you just kind of fan out from that location in all directions, and there's no way it should be that far from there. You would think, even if it was an animal attack, they're not taking you far. They're going to an area. They're probably hunting within their their living area where they don't travel fucking extensive miles just to find food and bring it back to their den. Their den's probably close by. So for them to still be sitting here trying to find this makes absolutely no sense. To me, anyway.
They should have found something. Well, unless... which I'm sure we'll get into more later, and unless they weren't actually trying to find him.
Unless they weren't really caring. Or they didn't try to find any of them. I don't know.
Maybe they were told not to.
Maybe. So later on Thursday morning, distress call came in into the operations center. Now, apparently a group of volunteers were outside the search parameters. They set up search parameters. They strayed outside. And were having trouble finding their way back. Now, apparently they met what they thought was a bear at first. But this could have been some kind of bush person, if you will, right? A wild man, quote unquote. Because he said he looked like he thought it was a bear, but then upon further inspection, it was a big guy in like a more of a fur coat, like it was a skinned coat he got off some animal. And the guy who said he found it, this Cobritz, he was asked if it could have been Corey. And the guy said, no way. Their description of Corey was that he was about 5'9". Cobritz said he's 6'2", and this guy was way bigger than him. So now we have this weird fucking... At this point, we have some weird wild men in the woods, right?
Yeah, it's very Wrong Turn-esque.
Now we're going Wrong Turn. Now, well, were they big guys? I guess some of them were, right?
A couple of them were, yeah. The only, the tiny one was Three Finger.
Three Finger, yeah.
Tiny little fella.
But he was their speed.
It was their speed and their aim, because that crossbow was fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, from fucking all the way up there, got him right in the back a couple times. Yeah, so this brings some Wrong Turn vibes into it, into this area here. Now, apparently wild men in these areas, or if you call them wild men, I guess people who leave society, or I guess homeless maybe, or just, I guess, runaways. They go out in these woods and they live. And this isn't the first time. Apparently in 1969, a park ranger was also attacked on patrol by one of these wild people. He said the guy charged at him out of a bush with a makeshift club and hit him over the head and stuff. So this isn't the first time these primitive people, really, uncivilized people that live in the bush, have been seen out here. And I'm sure there's more of them out there, right? There's probably a whole bunch of people living in these woods off the grid, just because they have no other way to live.
Yeah, they're hermits.
They're hermits, if you will. Yeah.
I mean, so, there's some people that just don't get along in normal society, so they go off on their own, and they make a life for themselves away from literally everything. But that's a nice way of putting it for these mountain folk.
The mountain folk. Are they going to listen to the podcast?
Could you imagine? You imagine the comments we would get.
Oh my god. But apparently, yeah, there's a ton of them out there. They said they see them moving around. They were lurking in the woods around these guys. Apparently the Cobrits several times had his gun out and told him to stop what he's doing. He wouldn't. His team was getting all scared, I guess. And they described him as running off through the woods. It basically ran through the undergrowth, through the brush and everything, like a runaway truck. Like nothing slowed him down, and off into the woods he went. So, could they have drug Ellie for 2 miles through brush without injuring her in a way where she's still completely coherent and can speak to Corey himself? Would they do that?
If there was multiple of them, but that also brings the question that if she was coherent enough to call for help, I don't know, couldn't she yell what it was? I mean, she was right up in its face. She would know what it is.
They're not thinking.
Could she be like, these fucking dudes are dragging me off? I don't.
These dudes.
Yeah, these fucking woodland people are dragging me into the forest. Please help. Grab the gun. Don't forget that, please. Yeah. Oh, you did. Oh, this is why we're not getting married. Oh.
Oh, I don't think they're getting married at all.
Well, they're not getting anything now.
Nothing. It's fucked up, Josh.
What, too soon? Come on.
Too soon. So after all this searching and stuff, I guess the next day we find Ellie. Ellie was propped up. She was partially closed. Propped up under a fallen pine tree. But then it looked like she was hastily covered with dead leaves and sticks. Like someone, I guess, covered her. I don't know. Unless, would she cover herself for warmth? I'm not sure. If she was dying. But the way she died, like the official medical examiner's report, she died to severe hemorrhaging of the right atrium of the heart. So a great impact to the chest. It also fractured several ribs. But there was no exterior wounds, really. Very little scraping on the arms, the hands, light scratches, light scrapes. She was barefoot, and the bottom of her feet had some scrapes on them, scratches, but nothing significant that you would visually see until you walked up to her and saw that, during the autopsy, what really was going on. And again, just draws parallels to our Dialogue Pass episode. And I know we keep mentioning it, and if you haven't listened to that episode, we did do it. I forgot what episode number that was, but if you go back through Spotify or whatever, you're going to find it. There was also a movie on it. Josh talked about the movie. It's a great movie, right, Josh?
It's one of my favorites.
Was it?
No.
But anyway, so there's barely any scratches or anything. There's just light scratching. There's no great physical damage to her body. This is what weighs kind of pushes away a bear attack, right? When bears attack, don't they like tear with their? They have big claws, don't they? Do they not? Don't they kind of like tear with their claws? They just bite down. They maul, right? They just maul you into the ground with everything they got.
Yeah, so bears, sorry to cut you off. Bears will
No, you're good.
use their body weight to pull you down while also simultaneously biting into you to stop you. And then once you're on the ground, they just rip you to shreds.
Yes. So does this look like a bear attack?
Not even close.
Does it even look like a mountain lion attack?
Not even close.
Yeah, because wouldn't the mount now when cats, you have cats, I have cats. You see it with their toys, right? When they like their little toy mouse or something, right? They show you how they will hunt in the wild, and all cats are basically the same. They are apex predators. It's probably some of the best hunters in the world. But what they do is they grab, right? They'll grab with their head, usually around the prey's face or throat, and they shake, almost like an alligator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Back and forth. I feel like she would have probably had a broken neck, or she would have had, her throat would have been gouged significantly. There would have been a lot of blood. This isn't here. This is not here. Also, what they do, they grab you and they kick with their back legs. This isn't here. It's nothing like that. This isn't a mountain lion. This isn't a bear. This is more blunt force trauma to the chest. Something strong, heavy, just slam right into the chest. Now, the medical examiner says that in his opinion, the chest damage appears to be as if you fell from a height, extreme height. Now, however, she's not anywhere right now where she would fall from extreme height. She's just in a shallow ditch. There's a fallen pine tree. She's kind of underneath it a little bit, covered in sticks and leaves. With that kind of trauma, say she fell somewhere else, there's no way she would bring herself somewhere else, I don't think. If you have several broken ribs and hemorrhaging of the heart, I don't think you can move at all. You're probably in a fetal position, screaming in agonizing pain, and even if you move, it's just going to exacerbate the situation. So you're not going anywhere. You're not doing it.
She would have been dead within a few yards.
Yeah, she would have killed herself just trying to move. So this makes me believe that either her lifeless body was moved and then covered up with sticks and leaves and twigs and stuff, or something killed her there and then covered her up. But why would the thing that is weird to me is the covering of the body. Was it something else that covered her up after she died?
It would have had to have been, because if she, you got to think about it this way. She's trying to keep any kind of weight off of her rib cage area. So if she's covering herself up, she's covering those areas, thus putting weight on it herself, which would be extremely painful. So I think something else covered her up.
But do you think the thing that killed her covered her up, or something else covered her up? Now, these bush people, they might not all be, it might just be, you see them and you get nervous, but they might not all be bad, right? So what if something else killed her? They stumble upon her, and then they kind of like give her somewhat of a burial, right? They slide her under a fallen pine. They cover her loosely with sticks and leaves and twigs and stuff just to kind of do something for her. Is that a possibility?
I don't know. Maybe, but
You
Why?
don't think
Why
any of them bush people have sympathy? Like, oh man, kind of feel bad for
them shrub folk? No, I don't think they do.
it.
I why go through the trouble? I don't
Because
know.
they felt bad. I don't know. Maybe they're still human, and you still have some kind of human emotion, right?
Maybe. I don't know. Living alone in the forest for years changes your mind completely. So I don't know if they still think the same way. But
And the other thing that kind of with her body being found here, before we get into any of this stuff, is that the time of death that the coroner put marked down is 4 days after the 911 call. They think she died not very long before they found her. Now, what makes me question this and makes me wonder what the fuck is that how do you not find her before then? Especially when you have FLIR, you're out there searching with thermal, and it takes this long to find her. Like if you found her originally, she didn't die long after getting these injuries. Uh, the marks on her feet, the scraping and stuff, makes it seem like she was running for a while without shoes through this rough terrain. If they could have found her earlier, uh, they would have saved her life. So again, it starts keeps going back and putting in my head that maybe they weren't trying to find anyone. They didn't care. And if someone just happened to stumble upon her, maybe a volunteer or something, and they're like, ah, piss, right? And I mean, they found her. Which, you know what I mean?
I think, in my opinion, I think that they didn't want to find them until they were dead. Because the higher up powers that be didn't want what they experienced to be public knowledge.
Yes. I agree, especially with what happens after they find her, right? So once she's found, the Fed, if you will, um, they close off the site and they take over the investigation and the search for Corey. Local is no longer allowed to continue to investigate in this search. Um, what also we have here, though, is we have a tracker that was part of the group. Somehow this guy then finds her trail after he can't track Corey's trail. God forbid. But we got this guy Dylan Hoskin. He states that he found her. He's tracking her beforehand. Finds where she was moving to. He states that there's soft, like a lighter trail, which would be probably Ellie, lighter female. But then also following her trail that's defined, there seems to be two targets. Someone else with a heavier footprint, probably a larger person, right? And the way they were tracking, the way they were going, they seemed to be tracking Ellie, and then the tracker was tracking both trails. And he seemed to have a high degree of stealth. He was moving around in a different way. She was just trying to get the fuck out of there. He was trying to be more stealthy in the way he was moving. So it appears that something was following her. So
How did
yeah,
they not find her sooner, though? It's still.
how did I find her sooner? Because they didn't want to find her sooner. That's what I keep doing. That's what I keep getting kind of brought to. They follow the trails, and after a while, he says the two trails converge, like as if they met up, and then nothing. He couldn't track anymore. He's like, it almost like both trails vanished into thin air. This Dylan Hoshkin. So I don't know if this is a cover up, if they're lying, how did boat trails just disappear into thin air? If you're an expert man hunter, like he claims he is, man tracker, um, how do you get stumped on that? People don't just fly away, right? Or do they?
I don't think, because I know what everyone's thinking, and I don't think it's in this scenario, because it's the area for it, but I do not think it's Mothman.
Probably not Mothman, right? Well, Mothman, except for apparently the Houston Mothman, the West Virginian Mothman, he isn't something that attacks someone. I don't think he has any kills under his belt.
No,
I don't recall him ever any kills.
some would argue 9/11, but they're kind of silly.
Someone argue 9/11, but I think he was just a bearer. Like he was bringing bad news. He was a bearer of bad news. He was trying to warn people that they didn't listen. He flew over 9/11. He threw over bridges before. Apparently, he was in Russia. He just kind of is a omen of things to come. I don't think he actually wants to hurt anyone.
I kind of like the way you describe him as the bearer of bad news. Like, hey guys, maybe don't come to work tomorrow.
Yeah, call out sick.
God,
And that's why I don't think it was Mothman either. That wasn't really hinting towards a Mothman, or do they? Maybe I was hinting more towards a Jersey Devil. Right? Can our boy travel?
well, he's, he flies.
He flies. He's been to Pennsylvania. I mean, he doesn't stay just in the Pine Barrens. We know he leaves. What if he was sick and tired of just being in the Pine Barrens and people always trying to find him? Maybe he took a vacation. Like they said, the Mothman took a vacation to Houston. Maybe Jersey Devil took a vacation down. He wanted to see the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah, I hear they're lovely this time of year.
And then continuing down there, obviously he's probably hungry. He gets hungry. Now, Ellie, what if Ellie was dropped from a height, but it wasn't from a rock cliff or something? It was just he dropped her. Well, I'm as if the Jersey Devil dropped her. Fell right on her chest. And that's what it ended. He dropped her, the Jersey Devil dropped her, and the bush people in the area, the wild men, whatever you want to call them, they found her. They kind of felt bad, a little bit of sympathy for her, so they did a makeshift burial for her, covered her up a little bit, so she wasn't too exposed. And that was just their way of, kind of helping her move on. Because you're saying they're not, they've been in the wood for so long, but maybe they still have there has to be some kind of human emotion left.
Do you think they'd get offended because I referred to them as shrub folk?
They're not going to be listening.
Well, what are you saying? The kid have computers?
They don't have internet.
Get on the asshole. Got it.
I mean, I guess the only way they'd have internet is if they had like Starlink from SpaceX, get some satellite internet, because they're obviously not going to have they're barely going to have cell service. The guy said he barely had cell service out there. And I guess if he gets one ball to make a phone call, he ain't getting good data. They're not going to be able to stream our show.
I heard what you said about me. I ain't no shrub folk. All right.
Well, I'm not going to be going to the Smoky Mountains anytime soon. And by the time I do go down there, maybe they forgot about this episode.
I might go down there. I might do a series. Maybe I'll go to West Virginia. I know I've mentioned this before, but I might go do a short camping trip. I'll do it solo. I could give a shit. But I'm gonna
set up cameras.
I'm gonna set up a tent, and it's gonna be very Blair Witch Project, which just me talking to the camera. But I want to go to different locations where people have been known to go missing.
Okay.
And just camp, because I ain't no bitch.
And what happens if you go missing?
I won't. I'll be back.
No,
I'm
yeah.
not that lucky. I'll still have to come back and go to work. I'm not that lucky. Ugh.
So continuing on, I think it was a Jersey Devil. It might have been down there, but once they find her body and the feds take over, 5 p.m. the next day, about a week after the 911 call, the search and rescue operation for Corey is basically suspended. They're done with it. This does happen just hours after an Elkins family held a press conference expressing faith that their son would kind of return. Now, what doesn't make any sense to me again is that you haven't had any concrete evidence that he died, and if you go by the scene of the attack, there's barely any blood. It doesn't prove that he was severely injured, even though the sounds could have been. Maybe he was the one winning. So it's hard to describe that, right? I mean, what happens if this moaning was whatever he was fighting? He could have been fighting the Jersey Devil, which probably would have ripped him in half. But to call it off after a week makes no sense. He's an avid hiker and a survivalist, right? So he could probably live in the wilderness for some time. Could camp, find somewhere to go, learn how to survive, know how to what to eat, what not to eat, find water. There's tons of water. There's tons of like he said, creeks and stuff. That's fresh water through there you can drink. So to call it off abruptly without even trying to find him makes no sense. You don't just abruptly call something off for someone who is known to be able to survive in the wilderness. You continue to look. They looked until they found the Dyatlov Pass crew. Some of them were even wasn't some of them like a month later they found them?
Yeah, they were scattered all over the mountain.
Yeah, but they found him like a while later. But they continued to search, and again, the Dyatlov Pass, the Russian government continues to try to say it was just an avalanche, which makes no sense because there's like someone took a shovel full of snow and put it on top of the fucking tent, right? There's no avalanche. There was no avalanche. But anyway, this doesn't make sense to call it off. Unless, again, like I said, you don't want the public to know what's going on here. They could still be continuing to search and investigate, but saying they're calling it off because they don't want all these people around. And they don't want to have it on the mainstream media getting out, everyone trying to figure out what's going on here, and they don't want it to be blown up and that well known of a story. They don't want people knowing about this, really. That's what I think is going on here. So as this goes on, I mean, you got National Guard and you have, more military activity going on here. You're not sending in military of this kind of caliber for a missing person. This is where it seems to kind of go stray. It seems like someone knows more than they're letting on. Especially after they find Ellie and then the shit everything gets shut down. And Ackerman, Rory Ackerman, he was a paramedic, and he used to be a member of the Air Force's elite pararescue squad. He was agreed to remain throughout the weekend in an independent search. He said this wasn't the National Guard here. They were special forces. He knew from his training. He knew they were Green Berets out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So now we have special forces in this area. Now, this isn't the first time I've heard of special forces dealing with any type of maybe even cryptid type stuff. 2002 comes to mind where we had Green Berets and U.S. Special Forces fighting giants in caves in Afghanistan. There's actually body cam footage of the ones of 3 soldiers shooting into a cave in the dark, and boulders come flying out of the cave. It's pretty interesting. My one coworker was showing me it, and he's the one that kind of talked to me about that. So this isn't the first time we have special forces fighting cryptids, even if they don't want you to know about it. Just saying.
Yeah. And then they, they barricaded the area too, and they Had people riding around on ATVs, keeping hikers and townsfolk out there like, nah, we got this. Why don't you get the fuck out of here?
Yeah, and you're not sending in. Let me tell you this: you're not sending in Green Beret to fight Bush people. It's not happening. You're not going to have the elite special forces unit to fight. What would you call them?
Is it shrub folk?
Shrub folk. You're not going to have. There's no reason to waste that kind of skill, if you will, right? Unless they're just, you think they're that good. I mean, they're going to know the surroundings better, right? They'll be better at guerrilla warfare. But I still don't think you need your elite fighting force. Now, what crypt did we talk about that actually was shot at by the military? The Jersey Devil, right? They practiced. They were using cannonballs. They were testing a new weapon when the Jersey Devil came out into the clearing, right? And then they shot it, and it left. It didn't even fucking phase it. The military knows about the Jersey Devil. They keep that stuff on record. It's on record still. They know what they're dealing with if it's the Jersey Devil. So if it is actually the Jersey Devil, I can see them using Green Berets. Special forces. It's already been documented that he can take a cannon shot. You need some kind of, advanced, very specialized groups of soldiers to take these things out. You need to know their weaknesses. You need to know how to fight against them. You can't send anyone in there. That's why it's not. I don't think it's Bush people. They may say it's Bush people. They may have thought. Whoever wrote the article might think it's wild men, quote unquote, actually. I don't see that being the case.
No. I don't know. Unless it was the Jersey Devil and they were like, oh, we finally got him pinned down to one location. Let's fucking throw everything at him.
Yeah. You could have. Because as time goes on here, they don't find Corey. I guess, no one says anything about Corey. But the military still stays here. Now, the military then, there was a wildfire, right? In this area. Fire showed up. More people showed up. Campers showed up. Hikers showed up. And they would just say, we know what's going on. We're monitoring the area. Just get the fuck out of here. We don't need you around here. We'll take care of it. It wasn't until almost a day later where they kind of allowed firefighters to then go in and put the wildfire out. So, what were they doing in here? If you're going to burn down woods and then finally allow the firefighters to put it out, wouldn't this have turned into this massive wildfire? I mean, we know what it's like here in New Jersey. I mean, the pine bearings like to go up in flames pretty quickly, and that's because they're basically made. These trees are made to burn easy. That's how they reproduce. I think we talked about that in the Jersey Devil episode itself. The pitch pines, they're I guess they're like kind of like acorns, not acorns, pine cones. They need to be heated, baked basically, to open up and release the seed into the ground to make more trees. So our trees go up pretty quick. If you let a wildfire around here go for a day without even attempting to contain, it's going to be half the fucking pine barrens on fire. How fast did that fire spread from that muppet ass who couldn't put the bonfire out right over this, what was it, the spring? Late spring?
That shit went real quick.
That shit went all over the place. I remember going, well, I was talking to from the nuke plant, and they were shutting down power because they were worried because the fire was actually going around the nuke plant. It's shut down though. This one, they're shut down. They're redoing it. It's going to be amazing what they're doing over there. There's going to be the size of that whole fucking plant. They can power with the size of a 10 by 10 shed. They're going to be putting these what do they call them? Modular reactors on that site. But there was freaking fire down here everywhere. freaking pine trees burned all over the fucking place. Towns, and it's insane. And it's still, around the new plant, it's still fucked up. They were actually rebuilding their shooting range for their guards not too long ago. I was there. But yeah, so were they containing this fire? Do they know to contain the fire, or are they just letting it burn? It seems like they had to have had some kind of perimeter set up and have the fire contained, and then said, "All right, now you go take care of it. We're out of here. You guys can clean up the fire that we just set." Is this to burn something? I don't think they killed the Jersey Devil and burned him because he's still alive. You don't kill JD.
No.
But what were they trying to clean up?
All the evidence. Well, yeah, I do find it funny that the entire military, like, fucked off and said, all right, there's a fire, you can have at it. Fuck you. Just drive away.
All the evidence. Was Corey in that fire?
Yeah, of course he was.
He was in that fire because they found out he got there, the tearing of fabric, the noises, the owl hoots and stuff. This is prime Jersey Devil noise. It is. It's his claws, right? He's claws. He's tearing fabric. He fucked Corey up. Something fierce. And when they found him, they must have found him. Evidence point like, holy fuck, dude, how are you going to explain this? You can't say this is a bear attack. You can't say this is that and this. They're going to find out something's around. It's easier to hide the fact that cryptids are alive than have to explain to the public what they are, and then have to worry about them being in panic mode every time they go anywhere because they're afraid the Jersey Devil's going to kill them. So you just keep them in the dark and just hope there's no attacks. And then the ones that do get attacked, because it isn't very often. I mean, I don't think the Jersey Devil wants to go out and fucking kill someone every day. The ones that do come out with the stories and talk about it, they get called nuts. You don't believe them, right? No. So that's what I see here. So then this might have been like, this is going to be hard to explain how they died. I mean, they already found Ellie with the fucking damage to her rib cage. And the heart basically exploded in her chest without very much damage to the external skin or anything. It's bad enough. Now they found fucking Corey, and he was shredded, They could dig DNA out of the things to see what kind of animal attacked them, probably fur or whatever, and it doesn't come up with anything in their databases. Then you start panicking. So why would we risk public panic? We would just send in the crew, burn everything down, burn all the evidence, anything around it had blood on it or whatever, get rid of it, burn it off, and then we can come back later. Nothing's there. And we're good to go. And Corey's never found. We don't know. We just don't know what happened to him.
Vanished in the flames.
Right into thin air.
And they, people question. They're like, oh, well, maybe it was done intentionally. And apparently they found an incendiary device used by the military.
Oh, yeah. That's commonly used by the military. I think that was that same Ackerman, right? He found an incendiary device in the ground that could have been used to set the fire. And it was obviously set. I mean, they're in the area. There's all of a sudden a fire. We also have accounts of automatic weapon discharge several times. I don't know what that could have been. And but then there's also a cave discovered, right? So a few years later, they discover a cave, some, I guess, hikers or whatever. And in the cave, there's, backpacks and items strewn about. And down in there's also, apparently, 2 remains of some kind. Now, the people say that the remains look too big to be human. Right? Maybe 7-8 foot tall. And when this gets out, the feds say that, oh, no, don't worry about that. But the cave is unsafe. It's too unstable. People can die, fall in there and die. We're going to seal it off. So what they do is they explode. They they put explosives in it to blow the ground, to collapse it, and then they seal the cave off for good. and that's the last time you're allowed to go down in there and see it. Um, was that part of something killed by the military during Corey's disappearance?
Possibly if they combed the area and found that, because they found the bullet casings around the bodies.
Hmm.
But also, the part of that story with the cave, the group that went in there and discovered everything, they noticed a set of eyes looking at them from the shadows a couple yards in front of them, and
Oh,
they all fucking bailed out of there. And that's when they ran back to the town basically and told the sheriff, like, hey, there's a cave with some shit. And yeah, they sealed it off. But the same day they were sealing it off, the military just happened to show up and fucked up everything that was under that cave.
yeah. I still think the Jersey Devil did this, though.
See, I have my own theories.
Yes, I've been telling you my Jersey Devil theory the whole time, and I stick by my Jersey Devil theory. There's a lot of things that kind of point towards him, but what do you got for?
Well, JD's pretty solid, especially with the dropping of Ellie. I didn't even think of that, so well done.
Yeah,
I think because who was the guy that they were talking to? Was it Warnos? Glenn Warnos, the former regional agent with the National Park Services. They were talking to him, and he was saying basically, when the government or the military showed up, they kind of put a kibosh on anything they could tell the media. Like everything had to be vetted through them.
yeah,
Mainly the part where they showed up and found two bear cubs going through a backpack.
uh,
He mentioned, we had to say that because we weren't allowed to say what it really was two Ewok-like creatures walking on, walking upright on two legs, walking through the woods. They're like, oh, we couldn't say that. So that leads me to my theory, which I think that Corey and Ellie stumbled into a family of Sasquatches,
oh,
like a whole family.
a whole family of them, and then they kidnap Ellie.
They kidnap Ellie, and because think about it this way, they're 7 foot tall. Because everybody that's
Yeah,
been interviewed has all said the same thing, at least 7 foot tall.
yep,
They were originally mistaken for a bear by Corey, so they're covered
yes,
in hair.
mm-hmm.
And the way Ellie was killed was blunt force trauma, which is right up Sasquatch alley, because
Yes,
they're not known for killing people with claws and shit like that. They're known for,
brute
bludgeoning.
force.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think, honestly,
and
that
they don't
they,
eat. They're not going to eat anyone, right?
no, they just want to be left alone.
Yeah, they're interdimensional though. They travel between dimensions. So why didn't they just bail out?
I don't know. I think they were comfortable with where they lived. That little
Yes.
cave entrance
Yeah.
was their nest.
Okay.
And that's where I think that the military found the two of them and killed the parents, which means those kids are still out there. But yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
I
that makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
But now that the kids are gonna just grow up and do the same thing. But maybe they couldn't bring themselves to kill the kids, or maybe they didn't care. They just didn't kill them, or they didn't know where they were, or they didn't know about the kids because they did. They never said like you were saying. The guy didn't say it was kid. It was little big feet. It was bears. They thought it was little bear cubs. So maybe they didn't know they were looking for offspring. They just saw the two adults and killed them, thinking they were done with it, but they really weren't.
yeah. That that could be it. I don't know.
I think. I mean, as a combination.
Combination for sure.
You think JD teamed up with the Sasquatch?
That's a movie you would have to pull me away from watching over and over again. I would absolutely watch that.
Yeah.
The other theory I have is that The Appalachian Mountains are a protected reserve for cryptid creatures.
Okay.
And, the government can't wall off the entirety of the Appalachian Mountains because,
Yeah, it'd be too fishy.
well, it'd be too fishy, one, it would be too expensive, and
Yeah.
you also can't guard every single inch of a giant wall, so people would get in either way.
Yes. So you just leave them go. And if you happen to stumble across them and die, well, then the military comes in, the Fed comes in and just cleans it up.
Yeah. And I feel like the military and the government, they use, these myths and legends to their advantage, so most people will stay away. But the ones who don't actually go missing just become another legend. And it's one instance the government doesn't technically have to lie. Just play along with the folklore and look endearing while they're doing it. They're like, oh, well, what could you say? It was Mothman.
Yep. and that brings me to my final point here. I've tried to find like a corroboration of this story across other media outlets, and I cannot find anything. Therefore, you can't say, I wouldn't go on and say that this is a fabrication either, because one, we already saw that in the story itself, they were told what they could not put on the media, right? Mainstream media. They weren't allowed to put the story out really anyway. And same thing with but why is this? Then I would get told, why is this website up? Well, I've been told this too about the MH370 orbs, and we've mentioned that in our MH370 episode. Well, if they just take it down, that just leads to more questions, right? It makes people more interested in it. So you just leave well enough alone. You leave these things. But as you just mentioned, it makes even more sense. Maybe it was left up. They purposely left this up to try to keep people from going into these areas. Just leave the tidbits. We don't have to say their cryptids are real, but we can leave the folklore alive just as a deterrent for what if they are real. And they don't have to do as much legwork, really, if you will, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. That, or another theory, the government uses the Appalachian Mountains because of how old they are. They use them as locations for doing their shady government shit. And they made all these myths and legends up as a deterrent to keep people out.
Could be 100%. So you think all the cryptids are made up by the government as a way to deter people from going into certain areas where they don't want people to go into.
It's a theory. Just for the area, because I beat the shit out of cryptids every day. But just for that.
Yeah, I was about to say, you fight cryptids. You're known to fight cryptids, so they're not made up, right? You actually go toe-to-toe with cryptids.
Yeah, I just mean the Appalachian ones.
The Appalachian ones might be made up.
Yeah.
Could that also work for Area 51? I've wondered. What if they don't? It's not aliens they care about. They try to make it seem like, oh, there's aliens in here and everything, and abductions and stuff. Maybe to deter some people. But what happens if it's just because they're trying to hide their own high-tech technology?
Yeah.
And that's why it's. But they use, it's alien. Put out make people believe there's aliens here, folklore about aliens and stuff in this area. Which aliens are real. I already know this. They've infiltrated the government a long time ago. They've been around since ancient civilizations on this planet. So they are real, but maybe they come up with different alien stories just to prevent people or just to confuse people away from their own advanced technology, which we might have, like the orbs. It's, teleported MH370.
Area 51 annoys me, and I'll tell you why. Do you remember years ago when that meme went out where let's raid Area 51, they can't stop all of us?
Yes.
Why did nobody sack up enough to actually do it? It's true. It's true. They can't stop all of you. Fucking go for it. It pissed me off because
who wants to be the one that's shot? You know what I mean? They can't stop you all, but you have to be willing to get shot. That's the thing that stops you. I mean, yeah. I mean, the odds of you getting shot, maybe they're not. Even if they're 50%. If I'm going out there, like, there's a 50% chance you're gonna get shot and a 50% chance you're getting into the Area 51. What are you doing? You're staying home, right?
Yeah, I guess. But it just annoyed me that it turned into fucking Burning Man, like right outside the gate. Like people were blasting music and tailgating Area 51. People kept running right up to the gate and stopping right before getting shot. And like, oh, you almost got me. Haha. It's like, well, fucking either do it or go home. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
And before all the comments swarm in, oh, Josh, you're talking all this shit. Why didn't you go out there? Oh, I had a fucking store to manage. I didn't have time to fly out there and get shot at a gate. All right? I was a little
Yeah, we have
busy.
lives we got to do.
Yeah.
We got to take care of.
I'm a
I'm trying
goddamn
to remember
adult.
when was that? That was a few.
It's what, 3, 4 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. I guess, yeah. Something like 21.
I remember because the government actually put out, they put on every news network, like, just so you know, it's a military installation. You will actually be shot. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't some cute thing. Like, your families will mourn you. Like,
Yeah. Was it during COVID? It was during COVID?
I think it was because everybody was so
Yeah.
bored. They were like, "What should we
Yeah,
do?"
they was trying to come up with some bullshit to do. Yeah.
God, I wish someone actually went for it. God,
It would have been funny to see. Definitely would have been. But yeah, this story. So I'm trying to, yeah, like I was saying, I was trying to find information anywhere else. I could not find the story exactly. But again, could have been scrubbed from the internet together. So I'm not going to say it is or not. But it is an interesting story, and the theory, if we go by that it is true, I think it was a Jersey Devil. It could possibly be the Jersey Devil or Sasquatch, Bigfoot. It was not bush people or wild men or shrub people,
shrub folk.
shrub folk. They're not going to do. They're not going to perform this way. I don't care if you're a human. Even if you're in the woods forever, you're not causing blunt force trauma to the chest without some kind of instrument to do that. And there was no evidence of an instrument being used on Ellie. So there's that. Again, I want to thank Cynthia for sending us this information. It was a good read. Helped me out through work too, studying it. Josh, no, you're not. What are we doing next? You're not going to be there on Friday, right?
I'm gonna be stuck at work. So this week, my work schedule's all fucked up because someone's going on vacation. So I'm gonna be working until Monday.
All right. Well, I'll surprise you guys on Friday what we're doing next. Josh won't. I guess we'll be working. If you do have, again, like I said, if you have any suggestions you want to hear us talk about, have our theories on it, what could or could not be possible, you can always message us on X, Facebook, Instagram, comment on Spotify about it, like Cynthia did, and we'll give you a shout out. We'll do what we think it is, what we don't think it is. If we think it's real, if it's a conspiracy, if it's some kind of nonsense, we'll let you know. I can't help but think that if Corey was prepared enough and brought Ovaltine, he could have outrun whatever it was and save Ellie. That's his loss. I don't know why you would not bring Ovaltine on a camping trip. To have that kind of vitamin and minerals with you at all times seems like it's a survivalist instinct to have, right, Josh? Like, you need that sustenance.
I was gonna say he did bring it, but he just forgot it right next to his gun.
Maybe he did forget it right next to the gun. Perhaps if he was smart enough, he would have poured. He would have poured a glass of milk. He would have dumped Ovaltine in it. He would have mixed it. He would have chugged that. He would have grabbed his gun, and he would have absolutely demolished whatever it was in his way and saved Ellie. And this whole thing would have been a great cryptic killing story. He would have rivaled Josh in his cryptic killing abilities.
Let's
However,
slow down. I don't know about that.
however, He didn't. He left the gun in the tent. The Ovaltine was never used, never consumed, and he no longer possessed the ability to fight a cryptid one-on-one and lost. Obviously, we saw this happen.
Yeah, he goofed. All right, he goofed.
He goofed up.
But yeah, so let us know if you want to hear about anything else in particular that you're interested in. Also, if you're from that area, please leave us a comment and let me know if shrub folk is rude.
Is that a derogatory term?
Yeah. Otherwise, if it's not, I'm going to keep using it. But if it is, I apologize and I'll stop. But I just need to know if it's, offensive to anybody from the shrub. I'm gonna go camp. I'm gonna go camping out there, and I'm just gonna hear calling in the darkness, shrub folk, and then I'm just gonna get mauled.
Hey, it's Josh, that fucking moron from Conspiracy Kitchen.
Who?
Who? Well, guys, I think that's all we got tonight. I'm still propofol for some reason. I'm still affected by that, so I'm still loopy. We'll probably see you. I'll see you Friday anyway. And what you gonna say, Josh? You got something else to say? Or are we gonna?
No,
No.
I'll see y'all in a week.
All right, he'll see you in a week. I'll see you Friday, and we'll see you later, guys.
Bye.